Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're taking a look at Molt-T, a character you unlock pretty early on. He's a robot, and he's got a ton of different primary abilities that we're going to take a look at. So let's just jump right into it. We're just going to be taking a look at his different powers and some good items to build with him, and just kind of how he works. So we'll start off with the two skills you start out with, the auto nail gun and the rebar puncher, and then we'll restart and we'll showcase the scrap launcher and the power saw. So let's go ahead and ready up and get into this game. Now Molt-T does not come in on a drop pod, he just flies in solo. So right off the bat, our basic attack is all over the place, not very accurate at all, so definitely best short range. And when you stop attacking, you actually release, I think 12 shots. You can see it's kind of like a shotgun, 12 shot come out. But yeah, at long distance, I mean, we're not hitting that guy at all. So it's definitely best. The nail gun is the best short range. It attacks super quickly, so you know, as long as you're in close proximity, you're going to be doing the damage, but it just does not scale well long range. Now, if we hit R, which is his special ability, it doesn't actually do anything as far as like a new ability is concerned. It actually just switches your weapon. Let's go with that. So if we hit R, we'll switch weapons, and now we have the rebar puncher, which is extremely accurate. Extremely accurate and hits really hard. Which has a very, very slow attack speed. But yeah, so if you're attacking long range enemies, definitely recommend the rebar puncher. I think it actually goes through enemies too. Yeah. So it punches through enemies, does a ton of damage, and it's extremely accurate at long range. So basically the complete opposite of the nail gun, which is short range, high attack speed, low damage per shot. So yeah, it's the rebar puncher. Definitely, in my opinion, better overall. But if you have lots of on-hit stuff, this minigun thing can be pretty good too, as long as you're close enough to people. Now the right click is a grenade. So if you hold right click, you can actually see the area that it covers. It's a pretty big area. The grenade does damage, but it also stuns enemies. Like so. Yeah, it took about half the health out, and also stunned them. So it's great on like stone golems to stun them before they can laser you down. So it's good for crowd control. It's also good for just doing lots of damage to a big group of enemies as well. Now the shift is his dashing ability. So if you hit shift, you kind of go into this car mode, and you can run into enemies and do some good damage to them that way. But you can't attack, and you can't really stop the sprint either. Now he does have a lot of armor when he does that. So if you're in a tight spot, you can use that to kind of escape. It's probably the best use for it. Or just to kind of get over the map a little bit faster if you need to. That's his shift. And then the R, we already went over, just switches his weapons. Now the cool thing with the R is each weapon actually has its own equipment slot. So with Molt-T, you can actually have two equipments, and when you hit R, it switches your equipment as well as your weapon. So I can get like the disposable missile launcher with my rope, with my rebar shooter, and then I could hit R, switch over to my machine gun, and have a different equipment there to use. So that's pretty cool. That's something that's unique about Molt-T. So we're actually gonna build, I don't even know. There's kind of two ways you can do this. You can build crowbars. That way you're doing more initial damage with the rebar when they have full health. Or you can build attack speed so you can attack faster, or, you know, ideally both. He's also pretty tanky, so building health items, you know, getting a bunch of med kits, getting a bunch of meats, getting, you know, tougher times, getting infusions to really tank up is also good too. That way you can just survive long enough to do the damage close range with your minigun. And proccing any on-hit stuff you might have as well. So building tank is also an option. Pretty much with him, you can, because he has 2 different weapons, you know, it's really just kind of whatever you want. You know, if you're gonna go with this, I definitely recommend, you know, getting a couple of crowbars early on. That way you're really doing some good damage right off the bat. You know, see I'm one-hitting these enemies now with a crowbar. So yeah, we can get the missile launcher with the crowbar, and I can use that. And then if I hit R, you can see my equipment slot is now empty again, and my missile launcher is just kind of up in the top right there. So I get a different equipment and put it in this slot too. And then if I hit R again, missiles come back. They still, you know, the cooldown doesn't stop on them, so you can basically have 2. You can even have 2 of the same thing and just have double, you know, 2 different cooldowns. It's like kind of like having a free fuel cell. But yeah, that's multi. It can be pretty fun to play. Those are his starting 2 basic attacks. Let's go ahead and just real quick switch out his loadout. Take a sip of coffee. So his other 2, he's got a scrap launcher, which is basically a grenade launcher, and a power saw, extremely short range. I mean, it's a melee attack, but it does 1,000 damage per second, and that's huge. But it attacks extremely quickly, and so it's great for on-hit stuff. So the missile launcher, you get 4 shots, but they have a pretty fast cooldown. You can shoot them off really fast. They do area damage. What was it? Yeah, 360% damage. Excuse me. Yeah, so it's like a 1-second cooldown, and it refreshes all 4 of your shots. So it's a pretty fun ability. It's not really anything in particular you can build with it. You know, attack speed doesn't really help you too much, so you might want to build, you know, some crowbars, again, on-hit stuff. Even some bleed, because you're going to be able to affect a lot of enemies at once, so you can apply bleed to multiple enemies. And then, yeah. But then if you hit R, we can switch over to our buzzsaw. Now this thing, again, very, very short range. It's melee, but when you get close to somebody, they're going to be dying pretty quickly. Let's actually stun this guy. Get back Let's shift with this guy, knock him up. Stun him with the grenade. Yeah, I mean, it just rips people apart. That's ridiculous. 1,000% damage every single second. I mean, even on bosses, it's extremely good. And I mean, you know, if you get 100% critical strike, now you're doing 2,000% of your damage every single second. Then you can add on, you know, on-hit stuff to go along with that. You get bleed and apply bleed a ton, even with 1 tri-tip dagger. Just because I attack so quickly, you know, I'm applying bleed almost instantly, and gonna keep the stacks up without an issue. So I'm a big fan of the buzzsaw. It's probably one of my favorite attacks that he has. And the high attack speed just makes it so good for on-hit stuff, and to really do a lot of damage to enemies and bosses alike. So I know, like, basically every single character I play, I say build on hit. And that's really, you know, that's where the damage comes from. There's no way to increase your base damage in this game, so you just have to find other ways to do it. And that other way is either increasing your attack speed, increasing your critical strike, or getting on hit, or, you know, a little bit of everything. But people with high attack speed, to start with high attack speed, you might as well just build on hit, because you're going to be able to proc it more often. People with low attack speed, you want to build attack speed to get their attack speed up, because if they have low attack speed, they're probably hitting pretty hard already. So there's not really any need to build more damage. And then people with just kind of moderate attack, not really a slow attack speed, but not really hitting really hard either. You can build a critical strike to boost their damage, and on hit to make sure that you're doing some long-lasting damage as well. But yeah, that's the end of the multi-guide. He doesn't really have... he just has the 2 different primary abilities that you can unlock for him. Everything else is the same. He doesn't really have a special aside from switching his weapon. So, not my favorite character. Again, just kind of played him enough to unlock everything, and then after that, I don't really play him too often. But yeah, that's all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to, and we will see you tomorrow.